Hello, podcast listeners. Money makes the world go round, and this episode of JJ Meets World brings you some fantastic conversation and some fantastic advertising. So sit back, relax, and if you hit that skip button, I'll know, because we've got a weird thing that shows you all the times people hit the skip button. And by the way, if you'd like to help support our podcast, visit jjmeetsworld.com, where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some killer swag at our merch shop, or click the link to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review.
1, 2, 3, 4. J.J. Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is. He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. J.J. has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirls as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprained. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called J.J. Meets World.
Tucker, I'm pleased to say that we have some official sponsorships now on JJ Meets World.
It's been a long time coming, but our numbers have been doing great.
It is. People don't realize the cost of microphone maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
The things associated with keeping a podcast on the air as long as we have, which, by the way, is it we're going on 7 years?
2018?
Is that what it was?
I think so.
So, yeah. So
good Lord.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God.
good for us.
Now that you said it out loud, holy shit.
Right?
Really?
Yeah. Time
Damn.
flies. Time
Good Lord.
flies.
Was it end of year 2018?
No, it was beginning of the
Beginning
year.
of year
Yeah,
2018.
Because I think our
Wow.
first episode came out like on January 18th or something like that.
Yeah, because with microphones, a lot of people don't know this, but because of like the honeycomb nature of the frame, it collects wax, and so once a week we actually have to put our microphones in a cage with bees, and they just take all the wax off and relocate it somewhere else. That's pretty expensive because there's a lot of bee die off. You got to source it locally, and in the wintertime, please, that's difficult.
And Tucker constantly has beard lice just from the nature of your job.
Yeah.
And so we're constantly having to de-lice these things. I've had a huge amount of cold sores lately, and so I like to get right up to the microphone and kind of rub my face against it.
Yeah, and JJ typically and I are switching mics every other week, so we're
Sometimes in the middle of the show.
we're sharing each other's skin cells and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And when a guest comes, we also buy really expensive caviar that we don't allow the guest to eat. Only Tucker and I eat it. So, and that's a power thing.
These
when it
costs
comes down
add
to it.
up, and you don't really think about it when you're running a small business, but de-waxing the microphones and caviar, those are line items that you have to account for when you're planning. And we didn't plan for those back in 2018, not realizing how successful we would become. So luckily the phone has been ringing off the hook because we still have a landline phone here at the office.
Which is also very costly because it's a 6-line phone with a fax option.
We believe they're coming back, but we'll see.
Yeah. So let's start the show off with our first sponsorship, all right?
Great.
All right. And now just a quick word from our sponsor. Available on Amazon this holiday season from reclusive romance writer Taj Buttermaster comes a new genre-bending ebook. Courting the Wild West, a steampunk elegy, follows the story of a young sheep herder named Crab's Lagoon in his quest to teach the residents of the Fort Berthold Indian Reservation the true meaning of Christmas. Ebook reviewer Goku Fan 69 said, Courting the Wild West, a steampunk elegy, mixes the best of the written tradition of Louis L'Amour with the modern-day sensibilities of Kanye West. 10 out of 10 stars, would read again. Now, readers of the books of Taj Buttermaster can enjoy a 10% discount on old and new releases by using the promo code JJ's Boner, spelled JJS Boner. Buy now while digital supplies last. There you go. I mean, there you go. We just, you know what that was worth? That was worth $20 right there.
Right in
Done.
our bank account right there. That's one half of a week of getting our microphones de-waxed right there.
I love that. A big aspect of this is just kind of Tucker and I's financial literacy, right? So we've come so far since we were teenagers, and you just wanted a couple bucks for this and a couple bucks for that.
Yeah, I'd bicycle down to the Lantern Comics and News, pocket full of dimes just to get some singles of the X-Men 94 Flair cards.
Right? I had the entire Simpsons Pog collection. And so it wasn't just buying the Pogs. I also needed to get that special, like, 3-hole punch sheet that would hold the Pogs in there so you could both display them and enjoy them at the same time. Speaking of Pogs, is there something that you collected a lot as a kid that you know your collection no longer exists in any form whatsoever, and you kind of wish that you could have it back?
I mean, the Pogs were one. I had a bunch of my Pogs stolen because I forgot it at the playground at Horseman Elementary, and when I went back to get it, some other kid had taken it, and so I lost a bunch of my prized Pogs, including some Slammers. I believe.
Oh no!
So that would probably be the collection that I can think of that I wish I still had from my childhood, because I remember just the memories of that. I also, though, remember my love for Pogs fell off when Mama Luke sent me a bunch of Pogs, because she found out like there's this thing that kids are into called Pogs. And hey, I don't know how she had gotten them. She had like 7, I'm not even joking, JJ, plastic tubes about the length of like a roll of wrapping paper.
Oh wow!
Right?
So like 3 feet long.
Yeah, filled with Pogs. And so she mails them to me from Kentucky, and I'm so stoked. And I opened the first one to pour it out, and it's all Bible quotes.
Yo, all religious box.
All Bible verses with foil of Jesus on the other side. Every single Pog was one of those.
That's the one where like you show up once to play Pogs at the schoolyard, and they're like, Tucker can't play with us anymore. We're done.
He just plays with Christian Pogs.
Christian Pogs.
I remember the announcement going out over the intercom in the 4th grade from Principal Stigman saying Pogs are no longer allowed at school because it was considered a form of gambling.
Yep.
Because the terms of the game were if it landed face up, that person who slammed that time got to keep that Pog.
Wow. Well, listen, it's time for another word from our sponsors as Tucker thinks about those, the meek shall inherit. That was the Pog you didn't want to lose with your Christian Pog collection. That was actually a slammer. The meek shall inherit was definitely a slammer.
It was definitely a slammer in the shape of a Star of David.
Oh, yes. Oh, delightful.
You have a lot of choices when it comes to wheelchair accessories, and our friends at Diane's Wheelchair Rodeo would like you to remember them the next time you need rims, cup holders, mounted medication holders, or security devices. We accept all forms of payment, including Medicaid or barter. If you like quality work and real human beings, you'll love Diane's Wheelchair Rodeo, just off Highway 10 next to the Good Burger King.
Tucker, I am a big fan of my vehicle right now. I think I actually have the car I like the most of any vehicle that I've ever owned. And it's a Honda CR-V. I got the Sport Utility Package, and it'll be fully paid off in 2 months.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is exciting.
Hell
And
yeah.
I had never had a car payment before.
Okay.
I'd always like bought a used car and I paid cash for it, or it was like a hand-me-down. And while I've had other cars that brought me more adventure and interesting predicaments, I really like this car. It handles really well. The gas mileage is the best I've ever had in a vehicle. I'm really, really happy with it. And I was thinking about it yesterday while I was going through the car wash, and I kind of rubbed the dashboard, and I'm like, I love you, car. I love you so much, and you get me from where I need to go.
And is it, I love you too, JJ?
I mean, it started beeping Herbie style.
Does he, she, they have a name?
Yeah, Hi-Ho Silver. Yep. And I think about, and the reason I came up with that was, of course, because of, the Lone Ranger had a horse named Silver, and he'd go Hi-Ho Silver. But somebody asked me that at the Hi-Ho, and so I was like, Hi-Ho Silver. So it's a mediocre burger.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that the best burger in North Dakota?
It isn't.
It is, according to the Food Network.
It's not in North Dakota.
The Hi-Ho on 25th Street and 32nd. Which is the sister location to the original Dilworth location.
I was thinking the Dilworth one. I didn't know there was a Fargo location.
What?
Yeah.
It's been there for like 35 years.
I've never paid attention to it whatsoever.
You know what?
I think I'm always just thinking of the Dilworth one. If I hear Hi-O, it's over in Dilworth.
And thinking of you as a person, since you were a North Fargo kid, that 25th Street, 32nd corridor is probably very foreign to you because you've also never lived in that pocket of town.
No,
all the time I've known you.
Hi-Ho was never introduced to me until I was an adult.
Yeah? Do you like it?
It's fine. I don't really remember. To me, I remember it being a bar burger.
there is one waitress that when I say extra pickles, she gets the assignment, right? And then everyone else is like, here's like a couple more pickles in your little tiny opaque cup. Hope you enjoy it.
Does she slather it with pickles or tell them to slather it with pickles?
They always put it on the side. And I think what it is like they've got like a little tiny tongs that they take and put pickles on. And she must use it and like dig into the like
they don't want to assume
cut pickles.
How many is extra, but she's like, he's going to get his money's worth.
Correct.
Because I'm guessing whether they give you 2 extra or 10 extra, it's probably going to cost the same.
Well, and like they're pickles, right? The whole jug of pickles cost you $10 and it's got 20,000 sliced pickles in it.
Mm-hmm.
You're fine.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great story a friend of mine told me. She was a postmaster in southeast North Dakota in her town. And she went to this gigantic U.S. Postal Service, I guess, like MailCon or whatever it is. But like it was a giant convention for all of the people who work for the post office.
Or just fans.
Fans, yeah, just fans of the post office.
Cosplayers.
Be like, Dennis is my delivery guy, yeah!
It's all furries, but in male uniforms.
Bingo. So she sits in this giant convention center, and they have a speaker who comes out, and the speaker talks about this famous New York deli, and prices were going up. And they said, listen, you know what we could do is we could actually save money by not including a pickle spear when you order a sandwich. So they still get their chips, they still get the sandwich, the price stays the same, but we got rid of the pickle spear, and people could pay an extra like 60 cents for the pickle spear. Within a month, their sales plummeted because people were like, well, can I get the pickle spear? And they're like, well, it's an extra 60 cents. And that infuriated them. Now, what they did was they ended up raising the price of each sandwich by $2, to which people didn't blink an eye. And the whole point of this like big speech was, yes, costs are going up, but if you nickel and dime someone, they're going to take affront to it. Like they would rather just you be upfront with the pricing than to go up there and get it. So his whole speech was, give them the pickle, give them the pickle, give them the pickle. Then she
pickle them good.
Yeah, like Brian those old folks who are coming in.
Spear them daily.
So the very next thing that she goes to, like this presentation ends and she goes to a breakout session, and the breakout session is about how we will be charging for tape now and any mail accessories. So these things that used to be provided when people were mailing, no longer provided. So if someone needs to put a little bit of tape to hold a return address on, they now are spending $6 to buy the whole roll of tape, and then they take it with them. And she's like, you just told us to give them the pickle, and now you're talking about nickel and diming them? Come on. Hey, and speaking of, it's time for another word from one of our amazing sponsors on JJ Meets World. JJ Meets World is brought to you by Carter & Sons Law Firm, the only law firm in the upper Midwest run by a teenage father and his 3 adopted children. Have you recently been in an accident that happens under mysterious circumstances, which caused the denial of your insurance claim? Call Carter & Sons Law Firm at 209-541-8599. Once he's out of baseball practice, Carter will head over to your house in his dad's Cybertruck. With 2 to 3 of the children he adopted using identity fraud. Carter knows how the system works and will not rest until your insurance claims have been paid. Carter & Sons Law Firm is licensed to operate in the states of North Dakota, Minnesota, Rhode Island, and any Edward Jones location. Call now to reserve your spot or check out our Carter & Sons online at www.netscape.com/biz2/Carter & Sons Law Firm and Pokemon Cards Collection. We both did the same bit in one of ours. I love that. Carter & Sons, I tell you, when you want to trust someone, you know who I want to trust? Teens, because everyone's afraid of teens nowadays.
They're savvy.
They really are.
And these teens today grew up with the internet. They had internet in the womb.
Yeah.
They was passing through them, the Wi-Fi signals, and you can't tell me that doesn't affect their DNA.
No, in fact, let me put on my tinfoil hat here for a moment. I believe that it really does, and it's made them more abrupt and blunt.
Yeah.
I think. Which is what,
honest, you know.
Yeah,
To the point.
They ask you a question and they're not going to beat around the bush. They're like,
Succinct.
"Hey, have you decided if you're gonna get me a birthday present?"
Mm-hmm.
They're more like, "Did you buy me the Xbox?"
Yep, I sent you the link.
Yeah. Did you not act upon the link?
I have your credit card. I just needed you just need to tell me what the 3 digits are.
My birthday this last year I had a good birthday. I had a really good birthday. I've started this new tradition of going to Sammy's Pizza and then seeing a movie.
Ooh.
Yeah, isn't that great? Like, I
love
really like that. And this
I want
year,
a birthday tradition.
this year we saw the Saturday Night Live movie.
Yeah.
And like, which I really enjoyed a lot. And I got a Lego set, and I was like, this is the exact same way I celebrated my like 12th birthday. Like the exact same way. So why not as I get into my 40s? Although I've noticed that lately, I think I'm starting to get more ailments. I must have hurt my foot the other day because my big toe hurt. It's not gout. And then it kind of traveled up to the top of my foot. I think the Skechers that I bought at the Skechers outlet have been hurting my foot.
It's possible we are now at the age where just random tendons will not work necessarily for whatever reason, and then the next day they will. But it's a lot of my maladies now I find can be soothed with a really hot shower.
Which is nice.
That's the age we're at, is like you're just going to take a lot more hot showers now, longer ones.
Yeah, and I also have started getting, like, I've started shopping for things that are supposed to make your life a little bit easier, right? Like, oh, this foot brace, if you wear this foot brace for an hour before you go to bed, it'll help, your feet and like this. And so, like, we've got a really expensive foot massager that Jill bought. We've got I've got a couple of these braces. I started wearing compression socks, which, by the way, they're friggin' amazing.
So they just hold your legs tighter, right?
They hold it tighter, and so what it does is it helps. It helps, like, it doesn't constrict, but it helps like blood flow. So blood flow is really easy. And I found out that people who are over 6 feet tall should have been wearing compression socks this whole time because your heart is having trouble getting the blood down there adequately. And so, and certainly like someone like me who's got a couple extra pounds on him, it doesn't help anymore. That being said, I do have rather thin legs to begin with. As you put it, I believe you said I look like a lollipop, right? I'm built like a lollipop.
You look like a caramel apple with 2 stems.
There you go. Yeah.
But although, speaking of your weight, you're looking really good these days.
Thank you so much. I've lost a lot of weight.
You have, and you look fantastic.
Thank you so much.
And I hope you keep that. What has been the secret?
Stress. If I'm going to be blatantly honest, like, I've been working so much and I've been kind of like behind the 8 ball the whole time that I have not had a chance to sit and like just snack on my couch, right? And not lead that sedentary lifestyle. I also started adding some things like I would get up in the morning and then like read the newspaper and do that. I just have started getting up and like doing stuff around the house, taking a couple laps around the block, just anything to kind of get the blood flowing. And then I started doing like as many push-ups as I could. So I did like 3 push-ups before I was like, these aren't good. And now I'm up to doing 35 push-ups.
There you go.
Right? Yeah. So
Baby
I'm
steps.
also stronger.
Baby steps.
Yeah. And now it's time for another word from one of our fantastic sponsors. Remember, JJ Meets World, it doesn't just happen for free. You get it for free, but we got to keep the lights on.
How many times has this happened to you? Honey, where are all the packages that were supposed to be delivered today? It says they were delivered. Oh no! Porch pirates! Yes, porch pirates. Those dirty land-loving thieves have made off with your carefully chosen items that were so lovingly shot for on the internet. Dinkelman Security knows that even one package stolen by those scurvy-riddled sons of bitches can make anyone unhappy. They now have a solution that will keep your porch pirate free. The house cannon. A fully articulated cannon that fires not 1, but 2 70-pound lead balls at intruders. Using AI technology to tell if a package is being brought to your door or taken away, the house cannon is designed to permanently rid your neighborhood of porch pirates, backdoor buccaneers, sea wolves of the stoop, mansion marauders, and, of course, teenagers. Call Dinkelman Security today at 703-414-5567 or find us online at www.angelfire.com/Dan Dinkelman/security/footloose lover/house cannon.
Yeah, they say great minds think alike.
Yeah.
And clearly our comedy matches. Hey, I'm going to bring something from my creative life into our conversation today. So I've been tirelessly working on A Very Die Hard Christmas, a stage adaptation of the movie Die Hard, which is a Christmas movie to many, many people, right? So what a great time to do it other than the holiday season. I have had a great time working on this production. But just like you must have experienced during Santaland Diaries, about a week ago, this was written by a bunch of sketch comedy people, so it's very dated. Like there's a Carly Rae Jepsen "Call Me Maybe" thing, and so we slashed, I would say, 40% of the script out and added new bits and new routines. And there's some stuff that they hadn't included in it that I was like, no, this would be a good bit. This would be a good routine here, right? And so I followed the idea of a sitcom. So do you know the television sitcom rules is 2 jokes per page?
Yeah.
So I followed 2 jokes per page, and then it's got to start with a joke, it's got to end with a joke, right? The show itself. So about a week ago, I'm watching this and I'm like, Jesus, this is not funny at all. Like these things that I thought were cute and interesting turns out are not funny. Not funny at all. Yeah, 2 days ago, at the time of this recording, we had our opening night, and it turns out they are really funny.
You need an audience that can really tell you.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And I remember you telling me that during the Santaland Diaries, you need an audience to find out what works and what doesn't work, because you were kind enough to laugh the whole time, and so did I. And I'm working with people like Jacob Harchie and Dave Brunsvold, who are used to getting a great crowd reaction during improv.
Right.
And so I noticed that they would ratchet up the stuff that they're doing to try and make it funnier. And at one point I'm like, it doesn't need to go that far. Yeah. You need to get a reaction so that whoa, horses. Yep. And so that has been that felt really good and gratifying.
Awesome.
And a lot of other people had watched the show, not a lot, but some people involved in the crew and stuff like that. And it would be,
yeah, right.
Yep. And they didn't have a big reaction. And so this was great. And I was talking to some of the cast members who, they've done a lot of plays, but they've never done something like this. In fact, none of them have ever done something quite like this. And so they said, well, what happens if a bit doesn't work? And I go, here's my rule. My rule is 5, right? So if you can get 2 people to laugh, their laughter is infectious, and it's going to get the 3rd person to laugh.
Yep.
And then that causes the 4th and 5th person to chuckle a little bit. They may not get it 100%, but they know because this is a piece that, the whole crowd interacts with, that it's funny. Now, 4 and 5 might laugh uproariously because they're diehard super fans and they found an amazing in-joke. And so to me, that's kind of the thing, is that, your rule of 5 is that if you split your audience down the middle into person 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, if you can hit with 2 of them, it'll pull that 3rd person in and then kind of, mold over to the 4th.
Especially, certainly in the upper Midwest, we have very polite audiences oftentimes who they can seem almost like they're a church-going audience, right?
Yep.
And oftentimes, for whatever reason, they need permission from each other to laugh. They really, really do. But also, when you're doing comedy and you're doing theater, you are dealing in repetition, right? So what seemed funny to you the first time you did it, on time number 3 even the writer of it might not find it that funny at that moment, but they have to just go with their gut of, I think this is going to work. I think this is going to land. You can always recalibrate on some level, and the actors will recalibrate on stage. You won't be able to stop them, right?
Right.
It's their show at that point. And so they will match. They will know what the audience is telling them, and they'll live up to that. You did that in Santaland Diaries, where I came back to listen to the show at one point, because I would just sit out, because we were selling out the house, so I wasn't going to sit and take a seat. And you had completely created a whole new segment at one point.
Where I'm eating the sandwich, working the sandwich up my chest.
You had built that up over audience reaction after audience reaction, right? And that came out of, and so there was, I wasn't even mad because I don't think of it in terms of how dare he do that?
Right.
It's no, this is the natural progression. That's amazing. And that's why JJ was right for a role like this, because you need a comedic sense who can read an audience, right? Who can engage with them. and learn from them as well. And so you built that whole scene, learning off of what the audience was telling you from our show.
I gave Jake and Davey this one scene where I'm like, we're going to really stretch you guys as far as performance. Because, and I was so excited that both of them were willing to be in this. Because
Perfect casting.
And great chemistry between them, and having Jake as Hans Gruber and Davey as John McClane, it just works.
Especially because Davey does not look like a action
Bruce
star.
Willis, yeah. But you know what? He gets catcalled every time he takes off his shirt, it's the tank top.
It's that energy he's got.
It really is. In fact, on opening night, I sat in the back of the house, and there was a woman, and every time someone would come out, she was like, "Oh, he's my favorite." And then no, he's my favorite. She's my favorite. And I was like, yes, this is just hitting it.
That's awesome.
If people are familiar with the movie Die Hard, there's the scene where Hans Gruber is searching for the detonators and John McClane comes upon him, and John doesn't know that this is Hans. He thinks it's just one of the party guests who've gone astray. And so Hans uses this fake accent to try and pretend like he's not a German terrorist. And in this, I was like, okay, so here's the deal, Jake and Davey. You're going to improvise some of this, and I'm not going to ruin it for you because I want people to come see this, how this goes, but they crack each other up doing this whole bit, and then the audience gets it, right? They get that ability to watch these two guys who have done this 150 times and yet still are finding such joy in it. Oh, it's so good. Hey, speaking of joy, it's time to tell you about another one of our great sponsors on JJ Meets World. This episode of JJ Meets World is brought to you by John Mons. John Mons, John, Mons, Mon. Let me try that one more time. This episode of JJ Meets World is brought to you by John Mons. John Mons. John, Mons, Mon. Mon, John, Mons, Mon. Mon, gone, John, Mon, gone. Gone, John, Mons, John, gons. John, Mon, Mons. Paid for by the committee to re-elect Kevin Kramer. Because, they had to spend the rest of that war chest, before the year's done. They had to get it taken care of.
I think it's a good idea to still run ads after an election.
Yes, it just kind of twists the knife into his opponents, which I really like.
That was the first one I did.
It wasn't. And if you could only see what it looks like spelled out, it's like if Dr. Seuss got drunk and was hitting on a girl at the bar, do you know who I am?
This was the one that I thought of last night, and I was laughing to myself while I was saying it. And I thought, this is the stupidest fucking ad.
Well, I tell you what, while we're at it, let's get to the final ad that we have today. And so six great people.
How lucky are we to have 6 amazing sponsors?
Yeah, it's really great. And We've put some asks out to other sponsors as well.
Yep.
So hopefully we'll get more people who want to support the show, because at one point Tucker and I would like to we're going to invest in the same body cam style cameras that the police officers wear. And then every moment of our lives will become a podcast.
Yep.
And so if we can just afford to get that, and then we'll need to get a Verizon, MiFi pack. But I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'd be great. The taste of the latest generation. Diet or Coke is negative calories and refreshing. Stop wasting your time with crappy old Pepsi products. Like being in a relationship for a long time, Pepsi wants you to let yourself go. Put on some weight, get chubby around the inner thighs, and come to grips with the fact that the amount of time you have spent drinking Pepsi makes you less desirable to others. Diet or Coke is mixed with a blend of flavors that mix well with anything and contains the same active ingredient as Ozempic. Every can brings you one sip closer to finally being able to leave your house and talk to that bag boy at the grocery store. Go ahead. Leslie always double bags when you don't even request it. He wants you. And he will want you more when you start drinking Diet or Coke. Not available in Alaska, Nevada, Arkansas, the city of New York, or Croatia. If you get heart palpitations, suck it up. Not for pregnant or potentially pregnant women. Not for children under the age of 35. Consult a doctor if you wake up with the urge to kill.
That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help us continue to produce new episodes each week, visit jjmeetsworld.com, where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some swag at the merch shop, or follow our link to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review.
You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the sites the cool kids are using these days. JJ Meets World is produced every week by Tucker Lucas. You can find out more about Tucker's work by visiting moonbasemaria.com. If you want to get in touch with your host with the most, check out linebenders.com, where you can find direct contact info for JJ or booking information.
Tucker, now would be a good time to tell you that I accepted magic beans in lieu of cash for all of these ads.